Alrighty, and hi everyone, welcome back to another big review. Wow, so we are finally gonna open up this super action statue Jolyne Kujo figure. I know it's been teased for about it's 5 weeks or something like that, so we are finally opening her. We're just gonna go in there super quick. We're gonna do this super fast because as I've said previously, she does have stuff that's already been out and reviewed. This is a re-release, but this Kasu gave me the opportunity to review her, so that's why I am bringing her out to you. This is pretty standard packaging for the super action statue figure, at least from what I've seen, and of course then the top and the bottom. But we're gonna open her up here. Now opening it up, pretty simple insides here. And just so you can get a general look at the inside packaging, you can see it's kind of coming apart here because it is layered. There's stacks where the back has some of the extra pieces, and obviously the front is like the main figure head and the hands. Now of course, because she is a posable figure, she comes with a lot of stuff, so we're gonna try our best to go through all of them. Maybe not do all of the poses because I am a little bit tired. Some lovely instructions, wowie wowie. Her base and the stand peg that it comes with in its own individual bag. This was mainly what was in that second layer other than the base and the instructions. It's all of her weird finger extender pieces because of course that's her stand power, so just makes sense. Really all the hands individually, and then we're going to look at maybe one or two of the accessories, but maybe not every single one on the actual figure. So first off the bat, for just extra hands, we have got just a flat hand here, nothing too crazy or spectacular, and it's a little bit hard to hold. You can see though she does have her green painted nails, so obviously a pretty overall nice touch. She has 5 extra hands overall, but then the 2 on her, so she has 7 in total. The 2 on her currently are her closed fist, but she has another just kind of regular, flat, kind of half open palm, a little bit more structure to it than the one that we just saw. She has a pointy finger, pew pew, again with the green painted nails, 2 fingers extended, 2 closed, just kind of more elegantly pointed hand, same fingers painted, 1 finger extended while the rest look a little bit more dainty. Again, it's still just kind of overall just nice and expressive though with how the hands are bent. Jesus, let me not lose them. I'm not gonna lie, I don't like the way this one looks. I mean, it's to be her hand when she's like she's turning her body into the strings, you know, but you can see there's all these black lines on it. Honestly, it just looks kind of funky. Oh my gosh. I don't know if that's just because they use such a deep, intense black. If they had used like kind of a dark brown, I think the idea could have just translated just a little bit better. But that is all of the extra hands. Of course, she does have an extra face. Personally, between the two, this is my favorite of the 2 faces. Now, they're both, I think, still obviously really cute faces, but a lot of great shading, a lot of great coloring. We are kind of going to look at that overall in the actual figure itself, so we won't spend too long on those little details there. All right, now we have the actual Jolyne herself, who of course is nice and safely wrapped. She has 1 big back blanket, 1 for her jacket, cape. It's supposed to be her jacket, but I mean, it just kind of turns into a cape at some point. And then she does also have 1 for her torso and 1 in her, like for her belly to her pants, if that makes sense. Now, along with all of her hands and of course the extra face, she does have 4 additional effect pieces for her strings or her power. First, we're just gonna go through the 3. There's 3 that are just like strings basically. She has this long curly Q of a thing. It's got a spiral down at the end, and then it kind of goes just out and curves just a little bit. There is some shading on here. There is like a lighter or like a darker pink here, and it's just all like this light pale on this side. I do like the dark brown on this a little bit more than like the black that we saw on the other hand, and you would just probably plop it onto one of her fingers to have her use the effect. The second string finger is just straight. That's it. Again, pink at the end, pale at just the very tip down here, and you slide her finger onto this, which leads us to our third of the weird strings. Now again, pink to pale, It's got a little hoop that you can put onto her fingers. Honestly, it looks pretty silly when you have them posed, but it does look cool from a distance because it is doing the pose. They wouldn't obviously want to do extra hands, but obviously that would look best because, in my opinion, the best one is this fourth accessory, which technically is an 8th hand because these strings are actually just whole attached to her fingers. It looks like it actually is coming from her body. It just looks a lot better. Again, very well shading with the pinks and the light pales that are on here. She even has like some lines for her actual inside of her palm as well. So this was just a really nice hand. Honestly, the best extra accessory slash stringy hands, string cheese. Here comes Nathaniel. You wanna come give us a show? No? Okay. We're gonna continue on though with Jolyne. So here she is all out of the packaging, nice and free. So we're just gonna take a quick look at her and then put her in her final pose. But of course, we have her standard face here. So pretty normal. She's got her lime green lipstick and she's got these somewhat pouty, I mean, of course, just the standard big Jojo lips. So just they're all puckered out, sticking out just enough. She has a very intense glare with her eyebrows being super angry looking. Overall, nicely shaded. You can see there's darker pinks and browns down here versus where on the front of her face there's obviously like a little bit more of yellow or lighter tones. She has light green eyes. It's very small, but you can just barely probably see it there, but they are green with highlights in them as well. So the overall shading and highlighting on this is not too bad. We have her hair with her bangs hanging in her face. Now, they don't really do a whole lot for shading on certain parts of these figures, which is kind of what we see going on here for the green and even the blue on top of her head. It's just black that's being used to shade the hair color. Personally, I like when they do use actual other tones of the color, but I think for the Jojo figures it does work, at least in as a benefit for these figures, just because it does end up giving that graphic look that you typically would see from the Jojo anime or even the manga with like those really dark, intense black lines and shading. It does add to all the strands of her hair. It looks really, really nicely detailed because of all the carving that they did, and then just putting those deep colors into all of those smaller lines. So I'm a little bit conflicted about it, but I don't think it's the end of the world. Now moving right into like just continuing on with her head, of course it does have basically full 360 rotation. It does slow down a little bit sometimes once this her hair goes over the shoulder, but it's not anything that'll stop you. Of course, forwards and backwards, decent bit. Her neck also does move here, where she can, of course, bend her head back even further. Now it does pop out a little bit, but these are meant to be posable. A lot of nice sculpting and shading though. You can see she does have collarbones and like those weird, I don't remember the exact name, but then neck lines as well. Her shoulders, her arms, all of course nicely shaded with the deep pinks and the lights that we've been seeing. So moving right along. Of course, she can move them out. She can move them up and around, obviously in and out as well. So normal stuff. Her actual elbows, same general idea. You can see there's 2 joints here, so this does add a lot more movement where you can get her arm all the way in. Her wrist can spin around. It has a little bit of flexibility going in and out. Not the most, not the worst either. Now she's got her cool arm cuff, all of course nicely shaded. This is where we get into where they did use dark blues and light blues in order to shade it. There's gold little highlights on the buttons. On her other arm, she just has a decal of her tattoo. They kept it pretty simple there. It does go on nicely though. It doesn't look like there's any weird overlap or anything, so it is at least a clean decal. Now her torso. Now some of the paint is a little bit funky. If you do look, her skin is turning a little bit blue here on the top shoulders. It is a bit noticeable next to, like, you know, these really warm pinks that she has in her shoulders. So it's not as intense, but it is very obvious that her shoulder blades are blue and not the same warm pink that we've been seeing. It does stink because it just kind of adds a grayness to that color. Obviously, though, the shirt itself is done really, really well. All of the like spider web effects that you see are actually carved into the shirt. The white is perfectly following along all these lines. I don't see any major missteps until you maybe get to the back here. You can see there's a little bit of fumbling. The actual like front chest piece that she has, also all carved into it. Because all the butterflies, circles, and things are carved out, it really just lets them pop a little bit more. They didn't skip any steps, which usually you'll see happen when things start to get this small. A lot of stuff will get skipped. On Jolyne's back, it's more the same stuff. They did nice light highlighting and dark shading underneath. The same thing with the spider web, just following inside nicely in all these crevices. Hello again, Nathaniel. He's really having a good time with Jolyne today. Kind of actually even still on the torso, if you look with the green underbelt of her shirt, there's even, again, those gold little touches. There is 4 total buttons here. So again, we're getting back into where they do a fantastic job of doing these small details for these figures. Again, with small details, we got a nice her small little belly button ring and her pink star. I think it was either a piercing or a tattoo. Either way, edgy, cool. Lots of great shading on her skin. We got, again, darks here, lights on her tummy to make her look more toned and muscular because she is a muscle mommy. Same thing on the back. Now her torso, you can twist it just a little bit, but you really shouldn't push it much more than what you're seeing me do here. If you start to feel that resistance, stop. It does bend forwards and backwards as well. Now there's a lot more movement this way, and it looks pretty good even bending it far back. They put a decent amount of skin underneath to ensure that if you do put her into any of those crazy Jojo poses, you know, she's not going to completely show the inside caverns of this figure. Same thing if you go forward, obviously. Now we start to see a little bit more, but it's the back. Always give a little bit more forgiveness on the back. Same thing a little bit with her bottom half. So that obviously her tummy goes into her pants. You can bend it backwards. You can bend it forwards. There's even a little bit of just like actually underwear peeking out, which I think is nice. They are a navy blue, so wow! Again, you can turn it just a little bit from side to side, but it really doesn't move too much. Now, moving on, bottom, belt buckle, more buttons on each side. Her legs, it's more the same thing where we do have dark blues going into light blues all the way down to the bottom of the boot here. The spider web lines again are painted and engraved into the actual pants. Now, I did just compliment the figure with not having many paint errors, and then now that we're looking at her leg, as you can see, the white paint is not so hot on this part of the leg. There definitely is a lot that could be painted in a little bit better, where it almost fades away. And then obviously over here, they completely missed the mark. It looks like someone put like powdered sugar on this side of the figure and it's just not coming off. It's not bad still overall. Ooh, her leg. But overall, most of the blues are still done really nicely. It's just the white paint does fall a little bit flat on this part of the figure. Some parts are painted well, some parts are missing paint, some parts are really ugly, like on these kneecaps, like where they're like going outside of the lines, some are going inside of the lines, and some of them are powdered sugar, so you kind of just get what you get. Now the creasing on the pants, like at the very bottom of the pants, I do think look really well done here. All of her weird little squares I think look really nice, and again we have those gold little accents to the squares. Her boots, really cute. They do have green metallic highlighting on the bottom to match all the other green metallics that we've seen. And then on the back, we do have her big pink magenta cape. It's obviously creased. It's meant to kind of look like it's blowing in the wind occasionally. It does have a light lilac pink on the inside. Now it is a bit stiff, so it does kind of get in the way, but while it is stiff, it is still moldable. Not the end of the world. You're probably not going to be doing anything that crazy, but it does get a bit in the way. Posability for the legs. They go out about like that. I mean, if you want to have her doing high kicks, you're basically set. You do have to be careful. Obviously, you can tear her legs off, so don't do that. Knee bend, really nice. You can actually get it like basically all the way closed. So that's really well done. Again, we have the 2 joints, so it helps a lot with the posability of the figure itself. You can twist it outwards, etc. There's really a lot that you can do with the posability on this figure. Her foot itself, we got forwards, we got backwards a bit, we got a little bit of a toe joint. We can, of course, probably swivel this around to a certain degree. Oh, all the way. It's just a little bit taut. So again, always be careful when you are testing the joints on your figures, because sometimes it'll be pristine condition and sometimes something's tight and then it snaps. And we're not trying to do that, right? Right. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to just go ahead and pose her really quick, get her all settled here, and we're just going to get to the end of the video. No! Oh, and so you can just get an idea, I guess, if you care. I mean, it's pretty easy to figure out. Like, if you want to attach these, you just got to kind of put them on her finger. Like, that's really all there is to it. Now, this might not be the intended finger. Maybe it's even supposed to kind of go more like, you know, you could put it on like this, as long as you get the desired effect that you're looking for. You know, you get the idea. See? Wow. Alrighty, but here she is, all posed up. Overall, I mean, she's obviously a pretty good figure. I mean, most of the super action statue figures are good. Really, truly, I don't even know if I'd want extra accessories. I just want the accessories on the hands already, because I think those other ones are just kind of silly, to be honest. But if you want to see more pictures of her, I will post more of her on my Instagram at Desunosis. I've got all my figures there. You should also check out, it's my husband, but at Kasu Otani. He's got multiple names. It's either Kasu Otani or Asu Otani. But he used to post some of his super action statue figures. And he's done a couple actually repaints and edits of them, which I'm pretty sure is what she's for. But again, this is his figure. He graciously let me borrow this, so I really appreciate it. I appreciate you for making it all the way to the end of my video. But I hope you had a great rest of your last week. I hope you have a great rest of your next week. And I'll see you guys later. Bye.